Today's the 17th.
Hey, Dr. Kimberly, it says we're live up there in the corner.
Wow. Today is Tuesday, August 17th.
How did it become August 17th?
Crazy. Who's making the time go by so fast?
Exactly. And
I don't know who's doing that, but they need to stop it. Stop it now. I am actually rolling on the road today. I am here at the awesome Spring Hill Suites. They offer the best service. If you are a person with a disability and you are traveling, you need to check into Spring Hill Suites. They have great accommodations for persons with disabilities. And I'm telling you, I don't know why they seem to think that we stay at home and do absolutely nothing.
We need to continue to disavow folks of that rumor that
absolutely
active lives,
that persons,
active lives.
They do. And every day we're always breaking, the mold of what people think. But you know what? We're going to do it again. We're going to break what people think about this COVID. And I'm excited about this guest. Of course, she was recruited through our satellite office in Georgia.
Everybody needs a satellite.
She's
will be in Georgia.
Say that again.
I said everybody needs a satellite. It might as well be in Georgia.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to turn maybe my unit. Yeah, there we go. I might be able to hear a little bit better. I turned up my unit here. I'm on my wonderful iPad. Woo! Okay, she said that she lost signal.
Oh, I thought she was just like intently reading something as she looked into the ground.
That's what I thought. But maybe she'll be back.
Yes, she will.
But
I mean, unlike me last Thursday, Dr. Kimberly, last Thursday, I was just doomed. Our internet was down at work and my poor little iPhone 8 just couldn't. I was pulling the string to get my can to talk to your can. I was just figured I was going to be more annoying than good. But I got some great insight when we need it. So
absolutely.
Because while we're waiting for Nicolle to come back.
Nicolle, yeah, because today is Talk About It Tuesday.
Talk About It Tuesday.
So, what did you think about that Thursday show, though?
I loved it, and I got some inspiration for some conspiration. Because here's the thought, and this is what I kept trying to get out. We talk about if it's just inspiration. Oh, Dr. Kimberly, you inspire me. Your follow-up invitation could be, that's awesome. I inspire you. How about you conspire with me? Ooh. And as we've pointed out through the year and many months we've been doing this, conspire means to breathe with. Inspire means to breathe in.
You know what?
And so this idea of, I'm just going to say it, when you invite people to conspire with you, they might freak out and say, what? I don't want to get so close to an African-American woman that we might share breath. Now, of course, now with COVID, we got to mask up. So don't worry about the COVID part of this. But the conspiracy to work together so closely that we breathe together, that's when people are going to be like, I just want to be inspired. I don't want to work for justice. Yes. I don't want to work for equity. I don't want to work for inclusion. I just want to be inspired, Dr. Kimberly. So that follow-up invitation to conspiracy, that could be chapter 2. chapter 2 after, okay,
Here
I
we go.
inspired you. All right, Jay Nicole's
She's
back.
back.
I don't know what happened, but it's storming here in Atlanta, so I do apologize. So that could be an issue.
It's okay. I love Heidi Zeller. She is one of my sister in arms. She is a Army veteran. I'm a Navy veteran. And she was like, yes, let's give them something to talk about, because today is Let's Talk About It Tuesday. And there has just been so much talk, whether to mask, not to mask, get vaccinated, not be vaccinated. But you have a very unique story. And actually, it's more than just a story. It's a truth. It's your truth, and it needs to be told. And I'm glad that you're choosing to. Hey, Alina Cross from Detroit is watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh yeah, we have Dawn Pace. She's here. She says hello. Vertanji is here, and again, Heidi Zeller. Um, I think that it's important that people hear from real life persons that are actually experiencing and going through. When you sometimes watch the news, it may be filtered. It may only show a portion of what they want the people to know. But here at Rolling on the Road, um, we get the real people. We're in the cities, we're in the neighborhoods, we're in the states. We are where the people are, and you're getting it live. You're getting it real. There's nothing contrived. I think that we are blessed and we are really favored to have people that come and that share their story. Many of you during this pandemic have really been suffering from depression and anxiety. So we have been so honored to have such persons as Richard Smallwood, who is an award-winning gospel singer, to talk about, his experience. He shared his soul with us. And we had got the opportunity to have Justin be with us on Thursday. He has sung background for Jonathan Nelson, Ty Tribbett. He's now with Anthony Hamilton. So these are real life people who are experiencing the same things that we are experiencing, and we're talking without a filter. And so without further ado, J. Nicolle, I love that name. It's J. Nicolle, but the brand is J. Nicolle Speaks. And so J. Nicolle Speaks is going to speak to us today about her experience.
Oh my. Well, yeah, J. Nicolle Speaks. That is I. That name was coined from my father. My name is Nicolle Janine. And so I stepped into cosmetology arena and stuff. He just kind of just saw me another light, and my father was a pastor, so he spoke a lot of things in my life.
Yay, another PK. I'm a PK also.
Yeah. So he spoke that name
I'm the
into
bishop's
me.
daughter.
Yes. So, well, yeah, recently here I just survived the COVID / Delta variant, as we found out later.
How long have you been out of the hospital?
I've been out of the hospital now 24 days. Yeah, 24 days out. Yeah. Yes. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. I definitely I don't feel like what I went through, and I definitely, as my children say, I don't look like what I've been through, because when one of them discovered me not all the way together the day I had to be driven to the hospital by one of my children. So it was a life-altering experience for me, based on the fact that I had already had one injection of the Moderna for the virus protection, the vaccination. And, I was a little on the fence, at first of which one to do. And so finally deciding, to have it, and in my, incubating period of waiting to get the second shot, doing life as I normally do. I was still masking up, sanitizing everything because I have a little form of OCD. So I'm always around trying to make sure things are neat and things of that nature. So it wasn't that being careless or anything like that, just haphazardly going places, that either wasn't, you didn't know about. I'm not that type of person. But at the same token, you just don't know which way it's going to hit you. So I came back from a business trade show, and I thought because I left 95-degree weather to 55-degree weather, oh, I'm just, having a cold, because I've done that before, not, pre-COVID, traveling and stuff like that. And come back with a little cold, especially coming from Vegas back to home. And when I lived in Michigan, especially coming from hot weather to a cold weather again, always getting a cold. So I just thought that what it was. And I just started medicating myself at home, doing the normal things. Because why? COVID wasn't on my mind. I done had at least the one shot, I'm working on the next one. So I'm fully vaccinated. But in the midst of that, I had struggled about 3 days before I actually went into the hospital, where, coughing, feeling kind of just thinking that it was just more like, phlegm or something caught in your chest, and you're just clearing it up, drinking lemon tea. I'm doing all the home little remedies that granny and mama, used to do, and, honey lemon, and then throw your little cayenne in there, just doing those things, just, trying to break that up and just feeling that way because COVID was not on my mind. So then the third day, I came into the room and he looked at me and he said, "Mother," he said, "you're not 100. And I had just heard it earlier from my guy friend, the same thing. He was like, "Babe, you're not 100. I don't know what's going on, but, we got to get you together." And so by that evening, my youngest one put my oldest one on FaceTime, and he was just like, "Get my mom to the hospital. A matter of fact, I'm on my way," type deal. By this time, I guess my breathing had got a little bit more labored, and my lips was the first thing that started changing. So my lips were dark. And so that alarmed both of the boys. And so immediately took me to the hospital. They triaged me to the point that, if you've ever been in any hospital, wherever you are, they can take a long time getting to everything. But this particular time, I think I was triaged probably within 40 minutes. And that's for Emory here, that's fast. So being that I was moving kind of fast, and I remember the lady whispering over to my oldest son and saying something. He was like, "Mom, you're going to be good. They're going to get you in the bag, and we'll find out what's going on and get you cleared up." I said, "It's probably just a cold, y'all. I'm just still going with this cold thing." Long story short, I get to the back, and it was like, "Miss Willis, you are going to be staying with us for a few days because it is not a cold. You actually, have the variant." And I'm like, "The variant what?" Because I'm here, I've heard it on the news and everything like that, but in my mind, I hadn't put two and two together. So I'm like, "Variant what?" And so they went to explain. I said, "Well, I tested negative, for COVID because I back up just a little bit. The day before my third day of getting sicker, my children were so worried. I said, "Well, let's just go take the test so y'all know I'm okay." And the test came back negative. Well, they, of course, have this extra test that they can do while you're in the hospital to find out exactly where you are by pulling your blood and all that other kind of thing. So that's where it was discovered. So shortly thereafter, they found a bed because if you've been reading, a lot of beds been scarce lately with the variant because of the high volume of people that are now, going to the hospital because of it. By this time, I'm waiting, and I'm in a full blown oxygen mask and trying to help me with my breathing because now, even though now something wrong, it seems like everything, you start feeling everything. Your blood pressure high, this is high, you got a headache, you got to go to the bathroom, the whole nine, everything's escalating because now you're in this mode of, you're kind of panicking and then when they throw on pneumonia, what? So the pneumonia part of having the variant is what really could have took me a whole nother way. But it did help that I was kind of medicating myself at home, but I couldn't medicate myself too long, because it was, once it gets in that pulmonary and then it gets into the lungs and stuff like that, the battle is harder. So that's where I was at in that vicinity of that. So for the first 3 days, they were concentrating not only on getting my breathing right, but then also make sure my oxygen level was flowing right through the pulmonary side. And, my blood pressure did escalate quite a bit, and the headaches started coming more, being dizzy, very lethargic, and things of that nature. So I'm being, flushed with fluids and different things of that nature. So I'm just like, God, I'm being, like I said, even a PK kid, I have my own relationship with the Lord. So I'm just like talking to him like, I got things to do. I'm in the process of buying a home and so all many things are coming in my head, and I got goals, and God, I didn't expect this, and what is going on? Why me? And I not only had the one shot, but I was going to be obedient, make sure I got the second one. So all these emotions going in my head, and I'm the anxiety, the spirit of depression wants to come upon you. All this while you sit in the hospital bed and you're alone, and all you got is a nurse and a doctor, because that is the one true thing about being in a COVID state. You are alone. So I'm watching and talking to my family via FaceTime and Duo, and letting so they can at least see me and know that I'm okay. So that side apart, I think out of everything, is that the emotional side of it. Even though I wasn't to the point of having to be on the machine that a lot of people have had escalated to, I was
ventilator.
2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
The ventilator. I couldn't think of it real quick. Thank you. I was 2 or 3 days away from something like that if I had stayed at home. So it was not something to just sit and just think you can do mommies and grand remedies to. I'm glad that, my sons recognize me and know me enough, and being a girly girl that I am, I wasn't my girly girl self. So after the 5th day of being, by myself still, quarantined, because they still treat you in that category of being contagious. So until my blood pressure came down and until my breathing was good, they finally took me off I went from the full-blown oxygen to like the step down one where you're just in your nose, and being able to use that up to 5 days to when they just totally took me off of it because I was doing much better. By the 6th day, kind of coming back to myself, my skin color was coming back because it draws a lot out of you. And then when they're flushing you with all types of liquid, and being on a liquid diet in the hospital, it's no fun either. And I'm getting a shot in my belly. I'm getting a pump, up to a pump for about an hour a day, that I'm getting more, antibodies put into my body, just flooded into me to fight the variant in itself. And you're still testing your blood to see that if you are slowly weaning out of that situation to where, you're poked and prodded. My little tattoo is finally gone. That from them not being able to get a vein, So, the experience alone, it has you in your mind quite a bit. It has you, like I said, crying out to God, crying out to your own self, like how could you kind of can you bash your own self a little bit, like what were you thinking? You should have got it months ago. You should have been belittling the time or whatever. But I work from home pretty much, other than going out to trade shows. I'm at home. I work for a corporate organization 5 hours a day during the day, and then I work my own business the rest. So I'm pretty much at home, and so I didn't see the quite urgency at the time to go ahead and get it done, but I should have. So if anybody's listening, it's urgent. Don't belabor it anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to take a break. It's about 4:21, and we want to say thank you so much for tuning in to Rolling on the Road with Dr. Kimberly and Dave. Today is Tuesday, August 17th, and I am out here rolling around. I'm in the wonderful city of Holland. Yes, I am. And
yes,
we are, and we are Coming from our satellite location in Atlanta, our guest is J. Nicolle. I think that you said something really interesting when you said you were vacillating on whether or not to take the vaccine. And many are saying, I don't want anything else in my body. But it's amazing. If you can drink Coke and you can take a Coke and put it on a battery that is corroded with rust and it eats it right off, you can't put a vaccine in your body.
Come on now.
You know, if you drink, you can take a Coke, you can take a Mountain Dew, and just the acid from that can eat away, years of rust off of a corroded battery. And you're worried about a vaccine. And one thing that people don't understand, we have talked about this from day one, May 7th of 2020, when we hit the air. We have educated, we have given information. You know, we always take into account those people who don't do it for medical reasons and those who don't do it because of religious reasons. But everybody else, you need the vaccine. And mind you, when something like a virus, you know, it's a SARS. It starts out, it was SARS. So we've already had that. They already had a vaccine. So it's not like they are starting from scratch. You know, oh, we're just going to pull something out of the air and see what works. No, there's always a variant of some virus that's always floating around that they've already created a vaccine for. And when a variant comes, then all they're doing is changing the formula to combat that variant. You know, every single year, the same flu bug does not come and bite you on your little toes and make you sick. You know, each year it gets stronger, it changes, it mutates. And so when they see the first mutation, they start with the vaccine that they already have, and then they add something else to it in order to combat the new strain of, flu that has now come out. And so regardless of what you hear in the other news, other shows that you watch, you have to still look at the facts. We got to pay attention to the science of it. Is that the science, the numbers don't change. We just add things to and maybe take a couple things away, but we are never starting from ground zero where we don't have anything and nothing is not tried and true. So I think the piece that you didn't say that when we talked on yesterday is that you got Moderna, and this speaks directly to my friend Heidi, who has no problems with telling everybody that she got a combination of them. She says, you know, she says, when it's time for the booster, I probably will go get Johnson & Johnson. That way I have them all in my body. But one shot was a Pfizer, one shot was a Moderna. And I think that it's interesting that your first inoculation was with the Moderna, but when you were in the hospital, they were giving you Pfizer.
Yeah, that was interesting to me, but understanding now, like I said, when I was vacillating on actually taking it, I did a lot of time to kind of research it a little bit because I wanted to know what was going in my body. Because think about it, as being a parent of three boys and single parent at that, you know, you're always watching what they're doing to your children. And so I had to look back at, you know, of course, smallpox, measles, and different things like that we have allowed for our children to partake in to be vaccinated for school. So I had to compare the two. This is how I had to finally get to my point of knowing I was going to do it. I just delayed my doing it. But it was just the fact of knowing that I trust those vaccinations for my children. Why couldn't I trust, you know, something like this if I was still on the fence like I was probably early part in January, you know, kind of figuring out what it would do to my body, to my children's body, even though they're grown now. You know, we all sat down and talked about how these different things would, you know, come into our bodies and learning that, you know, what the side effects would be. So once finding out that I got the Moderna as my initial shot, and then in the hospital and getting the Pfizer, it's really no difference but a name. Okay. It's just each of them are going to react differently on different people. Everybody's response is going to be different. When this happened to me, I met another young lady who got the variant, but she didn't have pneumonia. She didn't have the pressure of, she didn't have pneumonia part of it. And she didn't have headaches like I had. She didn't turn blue like I did. Her breathing wasn't bad, but it hibernated such in her body that when it did, it just kind of like took over her body to where she was lethargic. She was, kind of gasping a little bit then because she couldn't really realize what was going on. But at the same token, she had to go be on oxygen for a little bit to help the panic attack that she had along with it. But her whole response was different from mine. Here I am laid out on the floor trying to get comfortable, trying to position myself, not really realizing I'm not struggling with a cold. You're struggling with a virus, Nick, so it was more like that. But learning the difference between the two, of course, the ingredients of how it's put together, but it's coming out with the same outcome. So it's just your choice on who the provider is. But it's really, after really looking at it, it's a name, and everybody's aftermath of receiving it is going to be a little bit different. Some people, the first day of getting it, they felt good. The second time they get something, then out the day for the 4 or 5 hours, sleepy, hungry, arm itching, feeling numb, those type of things, because each of me and my boys and my significant other, we all experience, first shot differently, so it really depends on, what you're doing. Do your research, just get vaccinated, period.
Because so that's, again, and you said it, it's like you were, whatever, in your alone time in the hospital, kind of beating yourself up for the delay. But I don't want to beat you up, but just tell a little bit more about that delay in doing your research, because again, there's still so many folks out there who are kind of on the fence or too much not on the fence yet. So I mean, what was that research like and got you to that first Moderna?
The research for me was too, because I do have, like I said, my boys, one of them have pre-existing issues with asthma and things of that nature from the time he was a little guy. And then I have another, we lost our doctor.
Spring Hill Suites.
Right, and then I'm Bunker. But with the pre-existing issues that, I knew were there, I wanted to make sure I understood it. Blood pressure had been an issue of mine beforehand. My mother passed away in 2019, had a stroke, and we were unaware of some underlying issues. And so for me, being that, I'm her lineage, I wanted to be sure of certain things I was putting in my body. I recently turned 50 years old. So for me, being older now, I wanted to also make sure what things that would help me, know what's going to be more for my quality of life and things of that nature. So knowing what kind of the general ingredients, would I have an allergic reaction to it because I'm allergic to certain things like aspirin, mushrooms, and, different medications is made from.
Exactly.
So that's where the research had to come in for me, especially for me, knowing that I have different various allergic reactions to things. So, like I said, other than the ingredients and the name, they're all got the common goal is to vaccinate you to help at least protect you to where you're not on a ventilator. You're gonna get the COVID, pretty much is what the doctor told me. You might feel like you got a cold and it might pass through you, but eventually you're going to get some form of it. It's just in a way that you proceed to protect it. I feel something for those who have religious beliefs against it, or those who are just dead set on it because they got a conspiracy theory or something of that nature. I said move that all out the way, and if you enjoy living on this earth, why don't you enjoy your life to the best that you possibly can? So when the world opens up, you have an opportunity to actually enjoy it because of the simple fact that you've covered your body, and you helped your neighbor. Because I don't know what neighbor gave it to me.
Right. Well, and that's, first and foremost, condolences on your mother's passing.
Thank you.
And second, when you get on this side of 50, we call it wise, not old. So you're getting wise as you enter your elderhood. And so that, but that wisdom of doing your homework, because we've talked to people throughout this show about, you've got to look at what are those parts and pieces, because one of those parts and pieces, do you want to have two, very negative reaction to, and those different allergies? Because people, I have the advantage. My wife, if she was on air with us, she would complain because most things don't bother me and I'm not allergic to a lot of things.
Okay.
But I still got the COVID last November, and my body might be able to take that Coca-Cola that Dr. Kimberly was making fun of earlier, but my body couldn't handle the COVID all on its own. So definitely doing that research. But like you said, come on, folks, it's now. Do that research and ask those questions. And, if we're all in this, the very few people who are going to be allergic to it, who can't take the vaccine, the people who are going to have religious reasons against it, that's still going to be a small portion of the population. And the rest of us, just to help.
We just do our part. The rest of us need to do. We really, really do, because, being that, I still have two, at home, me coming home that way was scary, because even though I've been vaccinated, had one that was already fully vaccinated, my third one, he and I got our first ones together. So even though it hit me the way it hit me, that's my third one, my second one, son is the one that had the asthma issue. So that was scary for me. So if you look at it in the sense of you could be harming your own family, that I really would want people to let it hit home, because that's what bothered me the most of being in the hospital too, is that, is everybody okay? I'm checking out my significant other. Is he okay? Because I'm now, a carrier. And these are the people, my immediate people that I'm around. My best friend flew down to visit for an event. And I'm just like, babe, I might ask you to just, stay away for the next time, because I don't know. What I'm saying? I'm careful now. But I don't want people to do is to treat people just because they're getting the virus, is that they're a plague or something. And I've noticed that just because you're getting the virus, or now you're rolling out of the virus and you're getting healed and things of that nature, is to not treat people like that. Don't ostricize them.
Exactly. No shame, people. No shame.
We didn't ask for it. You know what I'm saying? This is not our doing or anything like that. And the reason why I bring that up is because of a person who knew that I just got out. And, it was just like, they were standoffish. They don't know that I recognized it, but I did, because my discernment is very high. And so I recognize it. So I want people to understand that once you go through something like this, and everything that they can give you possibly known to, embrace your healing towards getting out of the hospital. I don't have the virus anymore. And, no, I'm not contagious or anything like that. But if you choosing not to do it, but you're trying to stay away from me because I have been through it, or acting funny and stuff like that, that's where I think a lot of people also can get that in their head, that they don't want to be bothered with it as well. And then they'll back away and not take the shot either. So I want to put that out there in the atmosphere, is that, do what's best for you, true enough. But think about the people that you surround yourself with, that you communicate with. And if you are an essential worker, please get vaccinated, because you're around people all day, every day, because you still got to leave your home and go to work, So those type of things is, I have really had been kind of on me about, how people can make their decisions, forego the conspiracy theories. Okay, the religion, I understand. But the rest of us, if we can do our part and to, do your research, find you don't have any allergies, this and that and the third, and find out which one is good for you. A doctor says something about somebody said that they're going to get the Pfizer, the Moderna, and the Johnson. Still do your research. You might not need them all, but do your research.
Oh, Dr. Kimberly, you're muted.
You muted. Can't hear you.
Unmute myself. One of the things that we talked about early on, when we talked to the epidemiologist from the health department, there's only a couple of ingredients that you may have an allergic reaction to. But what they said, for me, I didn't have an immune system for almost 10 years because it was immune suppressed. Mm-hmm. And as I was going through cancer, doing chemo and things like that. Mm-hmm. So it was like, is this going to be the best thing for me? And I appreciate it. It's like, there might be some things that you may be in your life allergic to that aren't necessarily put into a vaccine. Right. However, if you already have an EpiPen because you do have allergies, her suggests take your EpiPen with you and take your Benadryl. Mm-hmm. I mean, and she says those are the two things that are going to assist you if there is something in it. She says, she said she was almost 99.9999% sure there is nothing in the vaccine that will cause someone an allergic reaction. Right. Of course, there's always going to be that 1% or less than 1%, of that person who that may happen to, but we cannot make sure. I mean, we just can't not do it. I guess that's all I can just really say. We can't not do it because of the less than 1% chance that, it could be me. Mm-hmm. If you have not had a lot of issues in that area, it shouldn't be. And I think that the piece that really astounds me is just the things that we put in our body, foods that we eat. We don't know what they feed the cows, the chickens, and the birds that we're eating, and yet we do it. People will eat escargot like it's absolutely nothing. Do you know how poisonous it really, really is for you to eat that? And you're like, okay with it. If it's 1 degree off or it's been left out too long, it could kill you, but you don't care because it's something that you want. I love the fact that you talk about the realness. Yesterday, I saw a video that came up with Ricky Smiley. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows, great comedian, has his own radio show, and has made several appearances in movies and comedy shows. And he said, this is so real. He says, I don't understand why people don't want to do this. He said, not that I'm a fearful person. He said, because I believe God, that he'll take care of us. He says, but we're supposed to have common sense as well. He said, the part that bothers him the most about all of it is that you have to die alone. And he says, if for no other reason, get vaccinated, because this is not going to be where everybody's going to stand around you, like we did Big Mama. We just stand around the bed. And, even for you, Dave, with your mom and, my dad, we've all lost parents in this last few months. Mm-hmm. And we've had an opportunity as a family to be there, to hold their hand. And I'm not getting ready to cry, but I couldn't even imagine my dad having to die by himself. I couldn't imagine your mom having to die without her family. And that's the reality of it, people. It's not going to be this big fanfare and you can fight this and, I can do it. You're going to be in a room by yourself. Nobody's going to be there but you and Jesus. So I hope that you believe in him and you guys can have that talk and you have a great transition, because there's not going to be a father, if you're Catholic, to give you your last rites. Nobody's going to be there to give you communion.
Right. That's right.
There's not going to be anybody there. Mm-hmm. Well, and I remember, I don't know about anybody else, but just all of us together as a family, when my grandmother died, she was not by herself. We could hold her hand. She could look at every one of us, and I could just see that last, she couldn't say a word, but just that last tear that came down her face. I couldn't even begin to imagine her not having anybody there after raising 7 children and all of the grandchildren and cleaning white folks' homes and scrubbing toilets. She bought a house. Many people don't know about Heritage Hill, but her home sold for $230,000. My grandmother paid cash for that house, scrubbing floors. And I couldn't imagine that God would allow her to die by herself. I couldn't even begin to imagine that after she left us something, a house that was fully paid for, didn't owe a dime.
And it's not only for the person who dies, it's that, what is that healing presence and that grace to be with somebody as they pass, you know, because that's a huge part of the healing that people miss, because they're not able to be there, and to be family together, as you said, surrounding your grandmother and that experience. It's very sad and it's very beautiful. And again, there's very few times emotions come by themselves, you know, beauty and love and sadness, you know, I mean, and yeah, it is sad to mourn someone's passing, at the same time rejoicing that they were in our lives, and we continue to honor them by continuing to do what they wanted us to do, to be good people, to be involved in the community, to get vaccinated. So I mean, to do those things, that we lose on both ends of that, because we choose not.
It does, you know, even with my dad, you know, I came in the door just as they did the last pump, and they had the trach down, and they're like, you know what, we can't bring him back. But I got out of my chair onto the floor next to him, and I held his hand until rigor mortis set in, and there was nothing like it. And I just looked at him and just, Dad, you're not alone. You are not alone. And I just rubbed the side of his face and just watched, you know, the color go. And our family just stood around, and they had to, you know, unpry his hand off of me after the rigor mortis set in. And then I just told everybody to hold hands, and I began to pray with my family. And I couldn't even imagine him being such the patriarch of our family that he would have had to have that moment by himself. They said that he had a heart attack, so, you know, he didn't have COVID. And but I couldn't even imagine if he did, him, after everything that he's done. You know, Dave has worked with him, and just some of the policies, procedures that he has changed for Kent County, for men and women who he deserved to die with dignity.
My mother was in the early stages of dementia when she passed in 2019 September, and, you know, of course it's pre COVID and everything, but I thought about that, and it really came on my mind, you know. And I think after we got home and stuff like that, I was talking with my boys, and I said that, you know, I said, I thank you guys for keeping me encouraged and things of that nature, because if it had went another way or lingered a little longer, I couldn't even imagine just being in this really all by myself, you know, because I thought back to my mother, who knew, you know, my mother was my best friend, and she had been with me since my dad died in 2004. So, you know, even though she knew I was present at the time of, you know, stroke and everything like that, you know, but as things started to deteriorate, and then she had like the final stroke, that really just kind of, you know, just kind of like, I knew she was gone, and all of us as a family were there. And again, like you know, they gotta pull me out the room because, you know, we're in hospice and things of that nature, because, you know, it didn't get to the level where I wasn't able to bring her back home and stuff. But as a family, we're joined together around her, and just knowing that she knew that we were there, you know what I'm saying, because she woke up before things, the stroke went to the final stroke, but she woke up as each brother, each sister came, each grandchild came. She woke up enough that she smiled at each and every one of them. She couldn't say nothing, but she found them and she smiled. And, she really couldn't move any of her limbs because it was really kind of fast. But that communication alone, being that we were able to experience all of that, the children, the sisters, the nieces, all of that, it's about 20 of us, I think, we're in the room, to thinking about your own self, being in the situation that I was in. It's just me. Just me. Yeah, there's FaceTime. Yeah, there's this, that, but ain't nothing like touch. Okay, yeah, the nurse can come in. Yeah, the doctor can come in. Any lady can come in. Touch. Still, they can't touch me like a family member can, and having that audible voice close to you where you can hear it it's like, it's right here versus you got to look at somebody on the phone. Look at how we're looking at each other,
Right.
it's
yes.
Of being alone. I did have, like I said, I think it lasted about 2 days because I was really longing for my family. I wanted to be near them and stuff, but here it is, I'm contagious, but that feeling of knowing that they can't come up, they can't sit with me. The only thing that they allowed you to do was to bring a care package down to a table down in front of the hospital. And then they, suit up and bring it upstairs to you and give it to your nurse who brings it into a room. And I'm just like, man, so that was the experience of sitting there and feeling the amount of depression that will come and overtake you if you let it, but I just had to will myself to the point, I should live and not die. This is not the end. This is not it, but my heart goes out heavily to those that I know when I was in ICU, that I know that they were carrying away downstairs, and they were alone. My heart goes out to what we read on the news, and they were alone, and I see how they simulate, try to give people touch and different things like that to make sure that their family knew that they were there, but they are still alone. And if they're used to having people coming around checking on them from time to time, even if it's not somebody staying with them, like like my mother stayed with me, they're used to having that physical contact in some form or fashion. And to have it taken away from you because of a pandemic, that's why, yet again, I have to say, don't be selfish. Do your research, find out which one you want and get it. Because it's, in the end, it's about you, but it's not about you. It's even about those ones that are around you, because you're, being ignorant to a device that's out there for you to take, and you're jeopardizing your family. Then this moment of that, we're glad that we had with our parents, with the parents of today won't have that. Come on now, let's get it together. Let's think in that perspective that days before are gone. Yeah, there are some levels of the hospital that you can go into that's not COVID restricted and stuff, and you can see a family member. But that only just came back open in the last 3 or 4 months. And guess what? They're getting ready to shut it back down again. Because why? The numbers got back high again. You know what I'm saying? So they got to do whatever they can do to prevent it. So stop being selfish about it. Stop listening to all these conspiracy theories, because a lot of this don't add up to nothing. So, like we said, religion's in a category, that's in a category, but the us that have the knowledge and have the Googles, that have the this or whatever to research, you can go in a place, they will talk to you about it, hand you a pamphlet. Just make a conscious decision to protect not only yourself, protect your loved ones, so they don't have to experience what so many before us have experienced since this thing has came apart. So if that's the one thing that I can leave about surviving this pandemic, is use the tools that we have so we can protect our families and so we can enjoy our families. Because it's a million of people. I don't know if it's a million, but it's a million people who wish that they could. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Oh, there.
There's definitely way too many. Now Dr. Kimberly's coming in twice.
She sure is.
Nope. Yeah. you know, it's get it done.
Way too many.
Better,
So
better sooner than sorry.
yes, definitely, Dave, definitely. You back with us, Dr. B?
I am.
Oh, good.
I am. The Wi-Fi is getting a little sketchy here.
A little sketchy.
But we are at the 4:50 hour, and
Yes.
I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your experience.
You're welcome.
And for putting some meat on the bones, if you will, because it seems as though everyone wants to go around with a skeleton view of what.
Uh-oh.
The skeleton view of what this pandemic really is or isn't. And yeah, it's just, let's knock it out. I mean, as an agency, tomorrow we're going back to masks because it's just the right thing to do. And let's hope, us wearing our masks will be a little bit in the right direction so that we don't have to shut down again, because that does impact people's livelihoods. So let's do the right thing. Let's work out. Let's knock this thing out. So,
Dr. Barrington, you were talking about your version of the skeleton.
Oh, I just said, we have a skeleton view of what this looks like, and you really have put the meat on the bones. And we talked about the seriousness of making sure that you get vaccinated, you do everything that the CDC has asked you to do, and mask up. So we want to say thank you so much for tuning in today. We want to say thank you to the Deaf and Hard of Hearing for rolling with us. We thank you to Disability Advocates of Kent County and 100 Shades of Disability for sponsoring us to do what it is that we do. Tomorrow we have a great show, so we look forward to seeing you
tomorrow, 4 o'clock. Tomorrow, 4 o'clock, live with Speaking with the Doc, Rolling with the Doc. I'll be back Thursday, on and off. The Down Syndrome Association's doing their kickoff. So, Dr. Kimberly, I was just saying that